All right, ladies and gentlemen, the numbers are in for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League in the active player base, and it is really not looking good. Right now, we have fewer than 1,000 people playing on Steam, and on one console, I don't know if this is PlayStation or Xbox, around 1,800. So let's just assume conservatively it's around the same on PlayStation or Xbox or vice versa. So 2,000 on each console, that's 4,000 total, plus 1,000 on Steam. You're looking at about 5,000 peak concurrence across all consoles. So that really is not great. That's going to put it probably in the low 200s of total games played, and it puts it well below games that came out years and years ago. Obviously well beneath Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, but even below just like Shadow of Mordor and just like kind of games that came out like 5-6 years ago that you would expect to be lower than Suicide Squad are above it. So this does not put the game in a great position, and it's kind of what I expected the life cycle to be. Obviously, in the first week, there was a big spike, and a lot of people that are supporters of the game were saying like, hey, look, we have this huge spike in week one, but that's really to be expected. Marvel's Avengers also had that big spike. The only difference now is that this drop of this game is even bigger than Marvel's Avengers. The peak concurrents that are on playing right now are lower than Marvel's Avengers this time after release. So that is very concerning, given that Marvel's Avengers lost over $100 million and is one of the biggest disasters in gaming history. You obviously don't want to be replicating that, and they're doing even worse than that game in terms of the player retention. And this doesn't surprise me. I mean, if I'm being honest, I can't be surprised about this, because when we're really looking at here is a game that they tried to borrow live service components from to make it live service, when this brand, the DC Games brand, was never that to begin with. So what they looked at is they looked at FIFA and Madden and Call of Duty, and to be fair to the developers and to the publisher, the most successful games right now that make the most money are live service games, right? Call of Duty is a live service game because you have all these extra bullshit that you buy in the game, and FIFA and Madden are the same with the little packs that you buy and all this stuff, right? So, and they have DLC content consistently updated, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, Fortnite has this. So all the most successful games have it. And the problem is, what's happening is that the story games who have historically made their name, like Rocksteady, doing narrative storytelling, they look at that and say, how can we get in on that? How can we do that? But what they fail to understand is that Rocksteady doing live service is like, it's like oil and water. It does not mix at all. And they kind of fail to understand that. And so, I'm sorry, but who is going to be consistently going back to this game after completing the story? Yes, there are going to be spikes when there's DLC content released. We're going to get back on, let's play the Joker story for an hour, get off again, and then come back in a month or two when the new story drops of like, oh, they're bringing Batman back. Okay, whatever. So I already know how this is going to go. There's going to be spikes intermittently when they drop new content, but then it's going to be a wasteland, because this is just not the sort of game where I want to get on with friends and be like, hey, let's go on and shoot Brainiac robots endlessly for hours, even after we beat the story. I mean, it's just not. So again, I mean, it's just a fundamental misunderstanding. This whole game is a miscalculation as to what the fans wanted. And you could say, well, they didn't care what the fans wanted. Okay, well, I mean, you're kind of seeing the reward of that, which is nobody's playing the game. I mean, what's the point in making the game if nobody's playing it? I mean, I don't know. Like, I just, it's really shocking to see how poorly the game is performing. But at the same point, it's very expected, because again, I mean, did you expect a live service game? I mean, to do well in the superhero game universe? This is a brand that was built on live service. Built on single-player story, obviously, with Arkham, right? So you had 4 very, very compelling single-player story games. This would be the equivalent of Last of Us 2 or God of War making a live service game, which, by the way, Last of Us 2 actually wanted to make a live service game. They actually did. They wanted to make a multiplayer game, and they canceled it. And you know what? Insomniac also wanted to make a live service open-world Spider-Man game that they also canceled. The only problem with this game is that it wasn't canceled. I don't mean to be that blunt and rude, but like, they should have recognized, just like Insomniac did, just like Last of Us did, hey, this is not our bread and butter. Doing live service games is not what we are good at. It is not what we should be doing. But they did it anyway, and so now it's too late. I don't know how you salvage it, but this is kind of the situation that they're in. So it's a really, really delicate situation right now, because the game is performing so poorly. and the player retention is so weak. And honestly, fans are so turned off to the story decisions they made. The story decisions are so off-putting to hardcore and casual fans alike. It really is not what fans wanted from the game. And there seems to be this kind of disconnect of like, well, it doesn't matter what the fans want. We're just going to do what we want to do. Okay, but then don't get mad when nobody plays the game. It's kind of that simple. Like, you can't expect fans to play something that they have no interest in, right? And so, I mean, that's kind of the situation we're in as fans. It's like, I'm sorry, but this game isn't really what I want it to be. It's not at all what I want, like not even close. It doesn't hit the single player story beats that I would expect. And it's just compared to the other, like compare the story of this game to even the worst Arkham game. Like what Arkham game do you think has the worst story? Arkham Knight, let's say. I mean, you could argue between Knight and Asylum, I think, which has the weaker story, but all three are pretty good. City's obviously the best, in my opinion. Origins is very, very good. Asylum has a good story as well. Knight's probably the weakest of the four. Okay, Arkham Knight's story like demolishes this game. It's not even so. This game, Suicide Squad: The Justice League, it's not even in the same universe as the other games that they made, and it's not just because it's Batman. This is what people on Twitter get all caught up on. Is when you criticize this game, they're like, "Oh my God, you're just mad that you're not getting another Batman game. You're just an idiot that wants 10 more Batman games." No. I want something that is even in the same galaxy of quality as the other games that I've gotten from this studio. That's it. Like, all we really expect from game studios is just like the same level of quality we've been getting. Think about that. Are we ever really mad if it's just kind of like the same level of quality? You know, like this is why Madden and FIFA and Call of Duty, all these, yeah, okay, people complain about them, but they sell incredibly well because it's kind of like the same level of quality every year. It's pretty consistent. And these games tend to sell well. When you get these disasters like this game, it's when the quality drop is like astronomical. And that's exactly what this game is. It is a precipitous, astronomical decline in quality from prior work to current work. And that is going to result. I mean, the player base is so dead on this game already that I don't even think you can call it a live service game. I don't even think it. How can a live service game have under 1,000 people playing it? That just doesn't make that doesn't make sense. That's not a live service game. A live service game are these multiplayer games that have all these microtransactions. So here's the big problem we're going to run into is all this DLC content we're promised is not coming. It's not. They laid out a roadmap of 3 years of DLC content. You know who else did that? Marvel's Avengers. Did we get all the shit we were promised from Marvel's Avengers? No. I mean, to be fair, we did get Spider-Man and a few other characters. But look, this game is already dead. Like, it's already, and I'm not saying that in the sense there's not going to be new content that comes out. I'm not saying that in the sense there's zero people playing it. I'm saying that in the sense of the stage one of the death of this game has already happened, which is these disastrously low engagement numbers of people actually playing the game on a daily basis. That's the stage one of death of any live service game. You cannot continue a live service game that people are not playing. The only reason Call of Duty, Fortnite, EA, Madden, FIFA, I said EA, but obviously EA owns FIFA and Madden, all these games. The only reason they continue to make Season 1 and Season 2 and Season 3 is because there's like literally hundreds of thousands of people playing those games right now as I'm recording this video. There are hundreds of thousands of people on Call of Duty, hundreds of thousands of people on FIFA across the world. This game has a couple thousand at the best peak times, and it just came out. Whereas FIFA and Madden, whatever, they came out 9 months ago. Okay, so do you understand the difference of, okay, if there's a few thousand people playing this game a day, how many people are buying skins? How many people are buying this shit? Not very many. So the money runs out instantly. The only way that the live service model works is if people are constantly buying shit. And they promise all the DLC to be free. So this is, I'm just explaining the numbers for you that this game is not getting 3 years of DLC content. It is not. It is not impossible mathematically. And people are disagreeing with me about this. And I'm telling you, it is literally impossible that any studio will greenlight additional content installments into a game that has so few players because they're not making post-purchase revenue. That is the whole reason David Zaslav fucking wanted this game, is because he wants post-purchase revenue. You can't have post-purchase revenue if nobody's on playing the game, buying the damn skins. This isn't a complicated thing to explain if you have been in the gaming industry for any slight period of time and have any modest grasp of the industry, but people are in denial, and I understand that people are in denial and kind of butthurt about it or whatever. Like, I'm not thrilled that Rocksteady's game is a fucking dud, but it is. We have to come to terms with it, okay? And the sooner that we can acknowledge what is happening, what is that, the stage one of grief, right? As soon as we acknowledge, holy fuck, this game bombed, and like we are not like this. It's like Gotham Knights. Okay, Gotham Knights, they teased Mad Hatter. They teased all these other villains. They teased all this shit DLC. Did we get anything? Not a damn thing. Nothing. So when they're saying 3 years of DLC content, I'm telling you right now, it's not happening. It's not. And that's just is what it is.